The Funhouse. I like Tobe Hooper's The Funhouse, released in 1981, even more than I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is just my opinion, and I can say this while acknowledging that Texas Chainsaw is a more historically relevant horror movie. Texas Chainsaw is groundbreaking and transgressive. It was like nothing that came before it. The Funhouse comes from a line of carnival horror movies dating at least back to 1962 with Carnival of Horrors. So it's really like apples and oranges. And in this case, I prefer oranges. The Funhouse centers on four teenagers who decide to hide and spend the night in the funhouse of a creepy traveling carnival. But the entire first act is just them walking around enjoying themselves. And let me tell you, this is the sleaziest, seediest carnival probably ever imagined. There's a stripper tent, and I know that that used to happen way back in the day, but I mean, it's really wild. There's a freak show exhibit where they have gross fetuses and shit in jars. There's a magician who pretends to actually kill someone in the audience. It's just the kind of shit I can't imagine happening these days with all the laws and regulations. So it's kind of like a window into a bygone era. So back to the film. Once the teenagers are stowed away and the carnival shuts down for the evening, this is when the real fun begins. This is when we meet Gunther, a terribly disgusting and underrated horror villain. Imagine Leatherface, but he wears a Frankenstein mask. Under the mask, Duncan suffers from albinism and frontonasal dysplasia. He may be a premature ejaculator, but he has the stamina for multiple kills in a single evening. It's funny, I have a t-shirt with Gunther on it, and every time I wear it, some kid will come up to me and be like, hey, is that Sloth from the Goonies? And I'll be like, man, fuck your Sloth from the Goonies. Gunther, eat you alive, kid. Anyway, back to the movie. Mayhem ensues, a final girl emerges, and honestly, the ending is just about as bittersweet as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's easy for me to see why Steven Spielberg was so keen to hire Tobe Hooper to direct Poltergeist. It's because the Funhouse shows an eye for the uncanny and the unnerving. It's got great structure and great pacing. Now, looking back on it, it's like a trip back in time to a bygone era that was technically safer, but somehow a whole lot scarier. Fun fact, some of the animatronic horrors that appear in the Funhouse also make an appearance in the video for Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself, because Tobe Hooper also directed that video. Fun fact number 2, if you ever find a novelization of the Funhouse, you'll see it's written by some guy you've probably never heard of before. It's actually written by Dean Koontz under a pen name. Yeah, Dean Koontz wrote the novelization to the Funhouse. So apparently it has all kinds of great backstories and insight into the characters. If you find it, buy it and mail it to me. Check out the Funhouse. Good night, lovers.